this video don't need to be set up a cute kind of way, because I don't care for you to be looking at me. I need you to listen to the message. So, and this just got stirred up in me. I'm on my way to Thanksgiving. Like, I don't know why this got stirred up in me, but we're just going to talk about it. So I keep seeing this thing on social media, and the Lord just kept bringing it to me. And it's, you know, these newlywed, unwed, really just couples. Let me just say couples, right? Because they're not all of them are married, not all of them are dating. Like, some of them are just like in the talking phase, right? But I've been seeing recently a lot of women, and I know that we've seen it for years, right? But like recently I just keep seeing like a lot of women like, I am not raising somebody's little boy. I am not raising a boy. I need a man. I'm not raising a boy. I'm not raising a boy. I'm not raising a boy, right? Okay, so then don't raise a boy, right? Like, all right then don't marry a boy. Like, I don't know, maybe marry a man then. So, but it got me thinking, like, okay, so do they understand though, like, who they're marrying? Do they understand who it is that they are caring for? Because there's this huge thing that I've been praying on, is, you know, a man has to leave his mother and father. A man has to leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife. And that sounds so simple, but it says nothing about the wife having to, like, the woman having to leave her mother and father. Women can stay with their parents for as long as they want, because the man is supposed to go out and prepare a house. He's supposed to go out and prepare a home for her. He is supposed to provide the house, right? And so, you know, the woman can stay with her parents forever. She doesn't have to leave her parents' house, but she's going to, because she's getting married, right? So there's a heaviness about that. Like, the husband literally cannot be under his parents anymore, right? But, like, oh my gosh, like, what pressure is that? Like, that's so much pressure. Like, the man literally has to leave his parents. But he's not doing it alone. He's not just leaving his parents and he's like all off on his own. He's cleaving to his wife. So, like, as a woman, as a wife, and this is going to sound kind of odd, but as a wife, you need to study under his parents. You need to see the way that he is cared for. You need to see the way that he was brought up. You need to understand how his mother treated him. And this is a different story if you are with a mommy's boy. And I'm not saying like, oh, like, he loves his mother. I'm talking about, like, you guys should probably see a therapist, mommy's boy. Like, okay, clearly you married your mom, right? You know what I mean? Like, there's a big difference between mommy's boys and, like, men who have clearly married their mother emotionally. That's creepy. Don't do that. But like, you have to study under his parents, and like, how was he raised? What are his love languages, right? Like, a parent knows their child's love. Parents with good relationships with their children know their children's love language, right? Like, they know how to talk to their children. They know how to console their children. They know how to be there for their children. And so what better place would it be to study under but their parents? When they have to leave their parents, you need to make a comfortable home for him. And that's not raising a child, that's caring for a man. Like, there's a huge difference between raising a boy, right? Like, raising a little boy, an immature little boy, and you're trying to marry him, and taking caring for a man. He's cleaving to you. He's holding on to you. You are his caretaker. He's going to look to you for comfort. He's going to look to you. Like, you are literally his wife. He's not doing this life alone. Anyway, but like, we're not just looking to his physical parents, right? Like, his temporal flesh parents. You need to seek God. Like, Lord, how do I take care of this son of yours? How do I prepare myself before I am married to take care of this precious son of yours, this man that you have created me out of, this man that you have made for me? Father, how do I take care of this man? How do I love him correctly? How do I prepare for him? How do I make myself a homemaker that makes him the head of the home? Does that make sense? I didn't say that correctly, but like, you get what I'm saying. Like, how do I make a home that he can lead? How do I prepare a home? Because I'm not supposed to be the one making the home, but I'm the homemaker. Does that make sense? He prepares the home. I run the home. He runs the house. I pray, Father, that made sense. Because in my head, it makes sense. I'm just hoping that it makes sense to y'all. But then, okay, so then, getting even deeper in this, and the Lord had given me this visual. He had given me this word, guys, like probably over a year ago now. And I just had, I don't know why. Please don't ask me why. I don't know why, but I've been so hesitant to talk about it for literally no reason. Like it's for no reason. So, he had me look at the shape of a rib, and if you look at a rib could very easily be a shank. Very, very easily be a shank. And so, women, if you are getting with somebody, and I am talking to women of God, if you are a woman of the world, I don't think that you're really going to understand this concept. So, message me. But women of God, like if you are looking to marry somebody and you have to be equally yoked, and that just goes so deep, okay? Like that just really goes so deep. It's not just like, oh, we like the same things. No, you need to be equally yoked. So I'm looking at the spiritual body, right? If you are a big rib, and this may shock some of you because I know that I am a very timid, very quiet, very shy person. I know that I don't speak up a lot, and it may surprise you that I am a big rib. I am a very large rib. I cannot belong to a small spiritual body. And here is why, and this is the visual that God gave me. I cannot put myself with someone who has a small spiritual body, someone who is not equally yoked with me. I am no one to speak on where somebody's salvation is. I am no one to speak on where somebody's walk with God is. But God, my Father, who is going to protect me, is going to show me where people are. If we are not equally yoked, if my husband is not above me, then that's not going to work. If I have someone who has a smaller spiritual body than this big rib can handle, I'm going to pierce through his flesh. I'm going to hurt his ego. I'm going to hurt his pride. And I'm just going to hurt him. I'm not going to be able to protect him. I'm going to hurt him. Imagine a huge rib sticking out of somebody's body. That's going to hurt. I'm going to offend him at all times. I come with a lot of conviction. I come with so much conviction. I am so easily convicted. I talk about the things that are hard. I point things out that people don't want to see. You know what I mean? Like I am deep in the word. I'm going to see something that I need to change, and I'm going to bring it up to my husband. And if my husband is not equally yoked with me in his walk with God, if he is not equally as mature, if not more mature, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to hurt him by telling him like, hey, we need to stop doing this. And he's in love with doing that. Right? I hope that makes sense. So, like, he just gave me that visual. It's like, like you can't be with someone who is not equally yoked with you. I know I keep saying it, but I really hope that this visual is hitting you. And then he gave me a visual for men. Men, I know women do missionary dating, but men do missionary dating so much more. I am learning that men will do missionary dating so much more. And I understand. Men are visual. Okay, I get it. I'm not judging you. I've done missionary dating. I understand. So, but what he's shown me is like a big, mighty man of God, like a huge spiritual body with a small rib. Could you imagine? Like, and just guys, oh my gosh. I'm ready to yell. I'm like just ready to scream at the phone because I really hope you guys are getting this. Could you imagine a huge big body with a tiny little rib? First of all, a rib is there to protect. So if you have a small rib that's not reaching all the way around the lungs, what kind of protection are you getting? You're just going to end up hurt. If you end up with a small rib that's not going all the way, because ribs curve, right? Having all of these big ribs and then having one little small rib that's curving right in the middle of your lung, is going to puncture you and it's going to completely deflate you. It's going to completely deflate you. You are going to be struggling. You're going to be wheezing. You're only going to have one lung. You're literally going to be, like, you're going to be miserable, right? She's not going to be able to keep up. She's going to also feel incredibly convicted. And then another thing, like, as a rib, we're supposed to protect. We're supposed to be very sensitive. As a ready woman, a woman who is ready to be a wife, she's going to be very sensitive in the spirit. She's going to be able to protect her husband. She's going to be able to say, hey, something's going on. You're not breathing right. Hey, there's something going on with you. Like, you know how sensitive your rib cage is? It's so sensitive. It's going to tell you everything that's wrong. So it's like, if that rib is not long enough to warn you, then what? What kind of discernment are you going to get? You're supposed to be the lead of the house. She's supposed to warn you about things to come. She laughs at the things to come because she knows that she's protected, not only by her husband, but by the Lord, first of all. Right? So, but she knows what's to come. Like, that's what's so funny about it. She laughs at the days to come. She knows what's coming. That's why she's laughing. Because that's not going to hit my house. Because first of all, I have God over my house, and I have my husband, a man of God, over my house. So yeah, I'm going to laugh at it, right? But if she can't warn you about it, how are you going to prepare for it, and how are you going to protect the family? Now you look like a weak man because you can't protect the family because you don't know what's coming. And you're worn out because you only got one lung. Like, there's just such a, like, oh, Father, I just thank you for that visual. Like, I'm praying that y'all get that. Because it's literally the same. I mean, it's the same thing both ways, but, like, it's so often because, you know, like I said earlier, my husband needs to be more spiritually mature than me, but not to the point that I'm a small rib to him. Does that make sense? I know that makes sense. I don't need to ask you if that makes sense, because that's what the Lord is telling me to say. And if you don't get it, please message me, because there's a whole lot to go with that. But like, you have to look at, really, it's not even about what your eyes see. You need to seek God. You need to seek God about these things. You just have to seek God about your marriage. That's lifelong. That is literally till death do you part. You are becoming one with someone. You cannot become one with someone who is not equally yoked. You are going to end up hurt. You will end up broke. You will end up depressed. You will end up hating God, because you're supposed to love in your marriage, and God is love. And if there's no love in your marriage, how you gonna love God? Sorry. It's just, you know, it's like the same thing, like, you know, like young girls who, like, don't have a good father figure. They look at God like a terrible person. They can look at God like a terrible person. Girls who grew up in abusive households, they look at God like, man, I gotta do everything right. That a lot of women let me not just put this in the category of women. Anybody growing up in an abusive household, they tend to look at God in a legalistic way. So how much more when your husband is supposed to be the lead of the house? If he's not loving you right, then you're going to be like, well, God, this is what you said, that this is the leader of my house. This is the leader of my house, and he's supposed to be a man of God. Who are you? He's treating me like this, and who are you? And it's all because you were unequally yoked. So that was my fun spiel. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. I actually don't know when I'm going to post this video, so I don't know what to say. Happy Thanksgiving, but I hope y'all had a good Thanksgiving.